Are you ready?
Agility from the champion.
Oh, deep
six! That could be it. Delivers this deep six.
Good evening. This is episode 119. I am joined by Brandon, aka Bass. Brandon, how you doing?
Doing good. A little warm in New York. 90 today, 95 the next couple. So other than that, doing all right.
Yes. Yeah. It has been a brutal week, but it will be calming down very shortly. Thank God. So this episode, we are going to talk about Gunther versus Goldberg from Raw last night. This feud was kind of rumored over the past couple of months by the IWC, which all started from Bad Blood from last year. And now we're finally getting to it, where Saturday night's main events coming up in just about 2 weeks from now is going to be live from Atlanta and Bill Goldberg's adopted hometown. So, Brandon, since we just talked about it before we went on air, would you like to do the honors of taking us back to where this all started at Bad Blood?
Absolutely. So I remember seeing it was Triple H, and they had I believe it was the new belt at the time for Bad Blood, or they had, I believe that was the reason why they were in the area. And then basically, excuse me, something outside. So basically what had happened there was, now with Goldberg in his adopted home of Atlanta, right in the front row with his son, wife, and everything, basically it said, Gunther had said that initially that Goldberg was a childhood hero, but then took it back and called him a one-trick pony. And then we also got Tonight, which we'll get to, but doubled down on calling him a one-trick pony. And that is where we got a little bit after Goldberg jumped into the ring and got, I believe they went nose to nose, if I'm not mistaken, at that point. And as you said, alluded that there might be a chance of this brewing, but who knew the 57, now 58-year-old Goldberg was going to hop into the ring.
So last night on Raw, we got the Goldberg promo, and he was talking about how he was embarrassed. He embarrassed Goldberg in front of his wife, his son, and so he was talking about how he felt embarrassed. And basically, he went on to say he's gonna F Gunther up. And then we get Gunther's promo later on last night, in like around the 9:30 hour or so. Gunther was basically saying that his job here is to kill Bill Goldberg's legacy.
And I the only real word I got, and I believe Michael Cole said it, was intense, and that's just all I felt there. I was like, wow, this man is about to, really put his emotion into the ring. And that's, I remember vividly, speaking of Gunther and his emotion, both in ring and on the mic. So I felt that when he hopped in there. He definitely, I don't want to say meant what he said, and I don't enjoy using the word kill when they're in there, but other than that, to at least kill the idea and the essence of Goldberg being this amazing wrestler and being undefeated. He needs to, show that he is the best in the world right now and why he has the belt. So I absolutely understand.
Now, let me ask you, last week on Raw, we saw Goldberg walk to the ring, and he did not, and this is not necessarily my view, I think that many people share the same view, Goldberg did not look great coming to the ring. Looks very old.
Did 53-year-olds, I believe at the time, Stone Cold look good coming up against Kevin Owens, and look at all the bumps and how great that match is still written out to be.
Yeah,
So
this
I'm
is
not going to deny
true. This
that.
is true. I think Steve Austin looked pretty good, just a little bit on the slower side of things.
That's where I'm
He
saying.
worked the match.
I mean, absolutely, and that's where the knees are going to come into play regardless. Not to say that Goldberg and Steve Austin were walking the same or anything. I just think the same ideal of, yes, getting to the ring. Maybe that's just, I mean, we saw the way that Vince walked. He had his wobble and everything looked crazy, and he was doing that at, 57. So it's a little, I don't know. I guess I'd have to go. I'm not going to go back and analyze Goldberg's walk, but I understand,
Like, how could I'm just
I get it. I
under
get
this
it.
new regime?
Mm,
I'm just kind of wondering why we're going there with Bill Goldberg. I mean, this is something that Vince McMahon would do.
yeah.
And I know Stone Cold Steve Austin fought Kevin Owens. I believe that was still under McMahon's watch, though, if I'm not mistaken. WrestleMania 38.
Yeah, that was definitely a few WrestleManias back, so that sounds right.
Yeah. So, I'm just. This is I don't know. Like, this isn't really typical of Triple H to book something like this, but this is actually being dubbed as a retirement match now.
Yeah, I saw
Supposedly.
that.
Supposedly.
He's, I
Did you see
mean,
what Michael Cole was hinting afterwards?
right at the end, he said, I believe he stated, yes, it is, when he asked, and he said that he went
It's
face
gonna
to
be quite
face
the
with
dilemma.
Bill. And so, oh yeah, if he wins and then goes, it'll be quite the dilemma. So, they've done it before. Again, I bring Vince McMahon obviously winning the Royal Rumble and then winning at WrestleMania and taking the belt at, like I said, I believe the age 57. Obviously, Ric Flair around that same older age. Not really a belt holder, but still wrestling and still moving around the ring. So I'm not going to take it away from Goldberg to at least put on an okay match, but it's going to be heavily on Gunther to have a good match. And I also think they're going to have to find a way. I don't know if Goldberg's going to want to do a DQ match or no DQ match, I should say. But that's at least a way to elevate the time without making Goldberg do a 3-minute to 5-minute nonsense match. But we'll see the way Triple H wants to go.
So let me ask you this: who comes out as Saturday Night Main Event champion here? Is it possible that Goldberg could win his final match and then have to defend it at SummerSlam where Gunther gets it back?
I don't see any chance in that happening. What I do see is the Dominic Mysterio effect and getting his son involved. Now, remember Brock versus Ray, and then Dom started getting involved in that match a lot. Yes. And that's when we first started to see the introduction of Dom being in the ring. And now you see where he is. Does Goldberg's kid want to get in the ring? Who knows? But it's a way to elevate that storyline and to not make, again, a 58-year-old Goldberg have to go up against an in-the-prime Gunther. So I definitely think we see his son involved because his son was at Atlanta in that time. So I will put, not a betting man, but would absolutely put Bill Goldberg's son coming into the ring and getting involved.
Hey, we got to keep in mind, Goldberg's son, I heard, has gotten big. He's been working out.
I wonder if he's had any of the performance.
Training.
I was going to say they might have kept it under wraps, under hush. But if he's been in a performance center for a few months now, he could pick up at least a couple of moves. And like I said, put in 2 or 3 minutes just to create a little bit of length to the story. Not, I would guess that he's going to pop in at one point.
So yeah, so in the last 10 matches that Bill Goldberg has had, I think it was 10 matches. it could have been 6, but I'm leaning more towards 10. I think that's what I read.
Mm.
Over the past, let's just say, 5 to 10 years that Goldberg's had. The total amount of time he's been in the ring was 43 minutes, spanned over 10 matches.
Wow. Yeah, it's a bit rough.
That is an
That's a
average
lot.
of 4 minutes per match.
So, yeah, again, you don't want to call a guy a one-trick pony, but gets in the ring, he'll hit a spot, celebrate a little, the other person will hit a spot against him, and then whoever wants to get the third spot is basically going to be the winner. So I'm just hoping, like I said, they are able to put on something of 10 minutes, get Goldberg's son involved, and at least don't make it a complete squash match, because we already know how good Gunther is. Why put any more of, hey, Gunther's great, and now he just, got put over by Goldberg, who wrestles once every 18 months.
So no chance Goldberg comes out of this champion.
No,
I don't think so too.
That's
I
why,
don't
like
think
I said,
so. I have my eye out for it, but I don't think so.
it would be, like I said, the no disqualification chance of it. But even then, Gunther kicks out at the 2.9, the way Roman Reigns used to do it back in the day when they had the no DQ matches and somebody got involved. Even then, it was Rey and Dom against Roman. So that's where I really see Goldberg's son is going to have a really legitimate chance of coming into the WWE and showing his potential.
So that match will happen in 2 weeks at Saturday night's main event in Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're looking for that world title match on the line. You got to figure that's going to be the main event. Some big news coming out of today before we wrap up this episode. It turns out that there was some social unrest amongst WWE wrestlers about the concern of going to Saudi Arabia with the war going on between Israel and Iran. So there was some tension there. Flights were being suspended for the past couple of days, or the reduced amount of flights to for civilians. So it was looking a very, very complicated situation going into this week's Night of Champions on Saturday, which actually they should call it Day of Champions, because it starts at 1:00 for us. But right. I digress. Anyway, so apparently there's been a ceasefire announced, a ceasefire agreement between Israel and Iran. Tensions are going to be reduced. War is over. So that should basically put everybody at ease now. The show's on at Saudi Arabia. It's definitely happening now. It probably wasn't looking so great about 24 to 48 hours ago, over the past weekend. But just announced earlier, yesterday rather, is that things are going to be good. So show is on. Show must go on anyway. They would have had it somewhere else if there was going to be any issues.
Yeah, just reading now. President Trump said Monday night that Israel and Iran agreed to a ceasefire that could lead to the end of the war. Love to hear that. At least they're making, I want to say, strides. Obviously, we don't enjoy bombing of nuclear sites and also of civilian sites. So hopefully this ends soon, and hopefully this ceasefire continues. But yeah, as I've said a few times, fan of the UFC, so I'm just looking in. The next travel is Abu Dhabi in July 26th. Other than that, they're in Vegas, Tennessee, New Orleans. So they at least avoided travel for a little bit for a lot. So the TKO brand, hopefully, again, this travel this weekend is good, and we'll see how the rest of the TKO does. But hopefully the ceasefire stays, and hopefully travel and everything ain't too crazy.
For those of you guys that are watching, thank you very much, Brandon. Thank you so much for hopping on. Join us tomorrow night as we will have another episode rolled out for you. Episode 120 will be tomorrow night around 10 or 11 p.m. If you guys are subscribed, you should get that alert. If not, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Follow us at the Aftermath Pro Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Hit the like button. Feel free to join in with some comments. We'd like to hear what you guys have to say about this Gunther versus Goldberg feud that will culminate in just a couple weeks. Till then, we'll catch you next time.
Agility from the champion. Oh, Jesus! That could be it. Delivers this